Yes. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Real Estate Titans, where we teach real estate agents how to be real estate investors. And yesterday, I went to a networking event. That's the theme of the day, right? And I met a great guy, Christian Doherty. We kicked it off instantly. And then I was like, this guy's amazing. And he's doing everything that I'm doing on a bigger, higher level. So I texted him. We were like, let's get dinner, whatever. And I'm like, let me see this guy, right? I'm like, hey, you want to come on my real estate podcast tomorrow? Real Estate Titans? And he was like, yes. And I'm like, this is my guy. He's a man of action. And then he shows up, which is even more amazing. So, Chris, without a further ado,
I'm here. I'm
tell
pumped.
us,
We should still be
tell,
at the Sox game, eating hot dogs, and it was actually pretty fun. So Zillow had an event. You were at a mortgage event, and
yeah,
Zillow is trying to expand like flex team. So they called me and said, "Want to get you on flex? Can you come to the Red Sox game? We want to meet with you and all this." So we went in there for the free meal and free tickets, and but they were on us the whole time, boy. They were trying to sell us hard. And yeah, so it was fun, and I love what you guys are doing. This is getting people together and doing it on video and just trying to inspire everybody. I really think that's the name of the game. About a little bit about me for the team. I know you got your Keller Williams team here, and Keller Williams is really the hallmark in terms of building teams and how to grow it and how to grow it the right way. I mean, a little bit about me was I went to college at UMass, and I was a political science major. And when I got out of college, I actually worked for a member of Congress who was Marty Meehan. So he's local. A lot of you may know him. He's now UMass president. I worked in D.C., but I learned a lot about politics and how politicians develop followings, how they go from just a regular person that wants to learn how to network, how to meet people, how to grow, how to build name recognition. And after I left that job, I went to the DA's office. I was a criminal prosecutor, and in that job, prosecuting murder cases, prosecuting, rape cases, gang cases, drug cases. But all that time I did real estate on the side, but I applied these two skill sets to what I was doing. And so I really think that, my model of how I do things is a little bit different, but it's worked for us. And, it works for me in my personal production, and I go at it every single day, that way. And so, like Keller Williams teaches more of a what I would call a quarterbacking model, right? When you go to the Keller Williams levels of step one, step two, step three, step four, step five, my model is more of a running back model where I do run a company, I run a team, but I really am the running back. And so there's reasons that I do that for my own personal production, but I'm in motion all day long. Most of my days are going to be a minimum of 20 face-to-face appointments. Buyer,
wow.
seller, client, that would be minimum. A crazy day would be 40 or 50. It's 7 days a week. My
In a
personal
day.
in a day, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild, but it's the pace that I love. It's hectic. My schedule's really tight, so I get jammed to the next one. Jammed. I'm always running a couple minutes behind, and it's just like you're always falling into the listing appointment, the buyer appointment. And then when I'm there, the reason that I do that is because it's my personality, right? I really like to be in motion. I like, as you and I talked about, I like the action, right? I like being in the middle of it. And so the goal for me is every day to have these appointments, but then I own these other businesses, and me being out there, just like you and I are meeting, we say, all right, how do we connect? How do we do this? How does this turn into something else? Maybe you find a flip and I do it, or maybe there's some business idea that comes up and it's like, hey, how do we do something, where we can help each other strategically. And so my model has always been a running back model, and I usually will sell about 125 to 150 single agent myself every year. And the way that I do that is really on this model of that. I also do a lot of rentals, and I own a lot of rentals. So Oh, my personal production on rentals, I mean, you can see we always have, so many. We'll do 300, 275 to 350 a year, and that's a lot of work too. But when I'm in the field, I'm trying to figure out, okay, where else can I benefit from this person in terms of a business relationship, and how can I help them and add value? So if I meet
I
you
love
and
that.
I say, hey, Mary, I meet you and I meet you as whatever it could be, that I say, okay, we have a law firm. Is there legal help that you need? Or we have a law firm relationship with somebody and we will refer that out and make money. You know, we own a management company. So if I go to the property and the person's, I don't know if I want to sell, I want to keep it, we will manage the property for you. We'll put it in that bucket. Sometimes I'm buying the property to flip. I usually do 2 to 3 flips a month. And so, but I
Two to
do
three
that in
flips in a
partnership.
month.
Yeah, I do 2 to 3 flips every month. Yeah. So
Wow.
every
I
year I'm
think
trying
that
to do 25 to 30 a year.
the leaf blowers over here are going to ruin our podcast, so we might have to do it again live. But I wanted to ask you something specific about you. I love that you have ancillary businesses, and we talked about this a little last night. When you go on an appointment or you meet somebody, you don't just go like, "Hey, can I list your house?" You're like, "Hey, can you find me a flip? Can we get into business together? Can we? Do you need property management needs, which is one of your other businesses? How many rentals do you own? Like, how many doors do you currently have?"
I'm just under 100. So, and
Wow.
most of my doors are single families or condos. So I
Wow.
had a lot of multis and I was doing a lot of commercial and I migrated out of those. And I basically started to focus more on single families and condos. That way, in those for those clients, I get less friction because I don't have to do snow removal. We don't do landscaping for them. So a lot of the kind of tensions that can come up with your property management gets easier. Margins would be better on the larger ones, but I've kind of focused and I like that. It's also easier for me to get in and out of deals. Like if I just want to sell one, I could sell one. If I want to refi one, and I found that it was an easier solution for me to keep it that way.
Absolutely. That's amazing. How do you get to 100 units? Tell us about like the first one you started with and how you scaled. Because we've had investors on here, 3, 4, 500 units, 100 units, 50 units, but not a lot that said what you said, which is a lot of single family and condos, which I'm
Yeah,
thinking the condos have some built-in management into them. But,
they do.
tell me how you built that, how you scaled that.
it's just my model. So I always look for the opportunity. So when I'm out in the field, I ask myself, should I be doing this first? Right. But I got to be careful because I'm an agent
Wow,
first. So
great question.
let's say I go out and Leo's the client and I go to Leo's house and I know that Leo is potentially going to want to sell this to somebody. Let's say I go in and the house is run down and it looks like there's just, it's a hoarder type of situation. I know Leo is going to be overwhelmed with the sale, and I know that he's likely going to be attracted to like we buy houses, right? And so I don't want to lose him by just being a one trick pony, right? And saying, hey, Leo, we're going to sell your house, you list your house. But in the back of Leo's mind, without asking him the question, he may really be thinking, I just want a quick deal. I want somebody to take this off my plate. So when I meet with Leo, I say, look, but the first thing that I want to say is I have a lot of different options and we'll go through them for you to help you the best way. One thing is we do have a program we would purchase you as is, but I'm extremely transparent because you don't know where the business is going to end up. But I'll say, look, I can buy this property and I'm going to get it at a significant reduction, and I'm going to buy it and I'm going to pay to clean it up. I'm going to pay to paint it. I'm going to pay to fix the cabinets. I'm going to put in, and I'll give them that number of what I think it's going to be. And I'll say, that is one option. And that option ends. I will never buy you if we go a different route. If you decide to list it, I will not buy you because I don't ever want them to think I'm not doing their best. But I say option one is that, can will purchase this if I see it as a financial opportunity. So I find a lot that way. Some, and I don't care if they don't want to sell it that way. I just don't want to lose it if they are going to sell it. Because I've in the past Arthur, I would go on it and I'm like, man, they sold that to a wholesaler. What the heck? And they sold that thing for
Yeah.
250. And I was in there telling them it was worth 400. I got to be an idiot. I missed that opportunity. So I learned, like when I'm in, I say, hey, this is the menu of options. Then I say, look, we're full service. So the other thing that we could do for you is we can manage you if you still want to keep this house, and we can rent it out for you. It doesn't mean that you have to do the traditional sale. And if you want a traditional sale, it's this. And I'm 100% transparent on, if I buy it for this and I put the money in, this is what the value would be. And you can do that
Yep.
yourself, and we'll help you do that. So I'm always trying to extract the money in the transaction so that I'm not losing profitability on one stream. Because the threat for you and me right now, we buy houses, is mailing everybody. And so you know that your potential sellers, they're getting these flyers in the mail. I'll buy your house. I'll buy your house. And they don't want to pay you a commission, right? The last thing
Mhm.
they want to do is pay us. So that's how I try to do it. And so just through that process of being an agent that's out there and seeking opportunity, I just started going like, all right, I buy this, I'll buy that, buy this one. And
Taking
it's,
so many notes. You're dropping so many golden nuggets. I want to go back to something that resonated with me because I heard Gary Keller say this too. He says like real estate agents know the value of properties. So every time you go into your deal, I forget how you phrased it, but what he said was like, you asked this question, would I buy this house? Is this a good investment opportunity for me? What was the way you phrased that question? I
well,
think
yeah,
I
that's
think you
it.
said
Like,
this deal
is this
work for
my,
me.
yeah, and it's like it's knowing how to analyze that property for me, Arthur, right? So like a lot of times I can't tell you how many times I have bought a property that another agent lists and they don't realize there's a separate buildable lot with the house.
And how do you know that information?
I mean, it's what I do, right? I learn it, I study it. So, like before I go in the house for a listing appointment, or if I see it, I'll look at, like, I'll know zone, I've learned zoning, so I know, okay, in this zone, I need 5,000 feet, or this zone, I need 25,000 feet. So I'll see a house, but you might know, you'll look at the house and say, wow, there's a big lot here. Like,
Yeah.
is there another opportunity? So I'm going through and I'm thinking through, okay, sell, manage, flip, or am I building something? And then I do it through partnership, right? Because you can't do everything on your own. You can't go and
I
run the
love.
flip. You can't go and
Yeah.
build the house. If you do, then you won't be able to sell, right? So I get strategic partners of like, all right, I found this house, I'm going to flip it. I got a good team. They do it. Call me when it's done. Okay. If I'm going to build a neighborhood, I have a few builder partners. We go in, we'll build the neighborhood, and I'll say, call me when it's done. We'll sell it, we'll handle the pieces that we do. And that way I'm getting streams of income off of what I'm doing a multitude of ways. I'm not just selling houses.
What are your so you got so what are your businesses that are integrated? So I know you got an attorney business,
Management. Yep.
property
I got a law
management,
firm,
real estate.
property management. Yep. Traditional brokerage as you do it.
Yep.
A construction development company where we build and, just straight up vertical.
Yep. And what else
That's
you
it.
got?
And then I lend money. Then we do hard money lending.
Nice. You do everything that I do except 10x bigger. That's why I love you. You're like, you're
I
10
mean, I don't know
years.
if
This is amazing. I
I'm
love this.
older. I'm older. That's what
And
happens when you get
smarter.
older. Yeah,
eh,
just in time.
eh, and
I'm not
and then
saying
your
it's smarter.
hustle. Yeah, go ahead.
I like to grind. I don't know if
I
it's
love
smarter,
that.
right? There's some people build big companies, right? And they say, hey, I want to get 1,000 agents, and it's a
Yep.
recruitment model. I think for
Hmm.
me, it comes down to, it's like I figure out what I really like to do, and where the difference I think that I bring is that it's hard sometimes to teach other agents. Like when I go, how much, like, how do you know
Yeah.
the zoning? How do you know it's a build? I know
Yeah.
that. So when I walk in there, I'm like, oh boy, we got a good opportunity. If it's
Yeah.
somebody that I'm meeting with, I'll tell them, hey, like I met with these potential sellers and they called me to buy their house. And they were like, listen, we want you to buy it for like, 250. It was a family. The parent passed away. And I walked around and I go, are you crazy? They're like, well, what? I'm like, this house is worth 400 grand. I didn't steal it from them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I didn't just take the opportunity. I go, it's worth 40. I go, you got to do some work, but you probably spend 20. Well, why are you giving the money away? And a lot of times you'll find that people with the honesty, they'll still like, we just don't want to deal with it. We don't care.
Yep.
You deal
I
with it.
found
We
that to be
don't we
true.
don't have 10 grand. We don't have 20 grand. Just do it, you know? Or they go, hey, this guy's pretty cool. He's not trying to take advantage of us. Then they'll give you the listing, you know? So for me, I find by having a lot of different irons in the fire, it gives me, a lot of different opportunity to do things.
I agree with that. Well, I learned this the hard way because I feel like a lot of realtors will say like, "Hey, we you should always list a property on MLS." And I used to think like that in the beginning, but what I've realized is some sellers, when you're honest with them, they still don't want to list the
Yeah.
property in MLS. They don't want to put money into it. They don't want people in the house. They don't want to stage it. They might have seven other reasons. They need cash yesterday. They're about to get
Yep.
foreclosed on. And it's
Yep.
like you could just say, "Hey, I'm only listing on MLS," but just know they are going to sell it to either a wholesaler or another flipper or somebody that will do the deal because you're saying I don't have a solution for you. And what
Correct.
you're saying is if it has to go on MLS, that's the only solution for every client seller, which is simply
They got
not
to find
true.
another service provider.
Right. Because why would it if that was the truth, then they wouldn't go there's a lot of sellers, right? What percentage of sellers sell for cash offers? Do you know? I think it's like 20%.
Yeah, I was gonna say 20%.
Yeah, about 20%. So if that was true that everybody wants to go on MLS, then that 20% wouldn't exist because because
Correct.
you telling them and I'm telling them like, hey, you'll make more money on MLS, and they're still going like, yeah, but I don't want to, right? That's why.
And look at all these wholesalers that are grabbing all these deals in our markets. And you
Yep.
say, how did that happen? And it said, because they went in there with a compelling offer. We'll just give you, hey, here's 100 grand. We'll clean the place up, give us the keys. And some people, that's the compelling offer. So for me, I
Yeah.
learned like, hey, I don't want to lose it on this. I don't want to lose it on that. Like these people are going to property management. Like, well, I'm going to start to do it. But then you have to build that infrastructure to support it. And then for me, my running back model is like now I feel like, hey, I can help you holistically, right? And I'm not just glued to like if Mary goes out and she's like, listen, we need 6% commission. We got to get this thing done. We got to sell you. And then the back of their mind, they're like, well, we might want to keep this house, or we might want to rent it, or we might want to do a cash thing, or who knows what's in their mind. But if you present all options, now they say, hey, I can be more transparent with you. This is what we're thinking. And they say, all right, we can help you
Yeah.
with that, or we'll do this or
And
that,
they don't have to call another company or seek another opportunity
That's
because
it.
you're giving them the option. Talk
You're
to me about
solving
the
it.
infrastructure because you said you had a strong infrastructure. Like, how many
Yeah.
admins do you have, support team in your businesses, partners? What does that look like? How are you able to run
So I
this
have a
big
so
empire?
what I did on the manage yeah, so on the sales side, I run that pretty lean. So we have 5 full-time like staff. They do some marketing, they do, transaction related work, handle a lot of like the lead management and a scheduler. I have one, usually have two schedulers. I have one right now. One just left. So I usually have two schedulers. On the management side, I have 8 full time, and those are like property managers. And so they don't do the work, but they handle the calls, they manage the different properties. And then I used to have a full staff. I used to have 12 full-time people that handled the repairs. Now I outsource that. So what I did is I got strategic relationships with other management companies, and there's like 6 of them. A lot of times with property managers, we're all in this kind of same boat of like, okay, we've got all this overhead, but this week maybe we didn't need all of them, right? But we still got to pay the big overhead. So now I've created a partnership with them. So I pay basically their rates, but I don't have them full time anymore. So, I found that for profitability, that's made me a couple 100,000 extra by doing it that way. Um,
That
you know,
that's
in
great.
terms of like the flipping, I will find them. And so I have like partnerships with people. I usually will give them like a 50 split. So I'll say, listen, here's the deal. I'll buy it. I'll, you do all the work. And when we sell it, we're going to split profit 50-50, but I'll build in interest for the money. So my money is going to tick at, 10 to 12% for the purchase and funding it. I'll get the brokerage fee built in, but then I'll split any proceeds after that 50-50. That way I'm not in any way involved with the day to day, and they're incentivized to get it done as fast as possible, because they're not like on an hourly. They're trying to get this thing done so they can get their profit.
That's great. You're dropping so many golden nuggets. My next question is, if you know and care to share, do you know your top three lead sources for both the agency side and also for the flipping and buying multifamily side? So if you could give me like, hey, these are the top three ways I'm getting business.
All right, so I mean, I'm an old school, I'm like an old school player. So for me, this is like relationships 101. So my sphere is my biggest thing. And so I'm always talking to my sphere, and I spend most of my day in that type of contact. So my database at this point is like almost 300,000 people. These people I have touched, met with, partied with, drank with. They've called me. We've had a conversation for 30 seconds, but we've coded and tagged all those people. I never lose any of them. They come in the system, and we add them. And then I'm on the calls every day. But what ends up happening is, over time, as with Sphere, everybody's on saved searches. I'm doing a lot of email blasts to them, right? I use viral marketing. Who, I don't know if you know Frank Klesitz, but I do video
Yep.
marketing through him. And so I send them out 2 videos a month, and then a third video, like a text video, and then I'm doing a text sequence to them. That's really that's really what happens. But then, as I do open houses, because like in a weekend, like
Do you still do open houses yourself?
last weekend I did 7 open houses on Saturday and 4 on Sunday. But I do them
I
an hour
got
at a time.
I got my agents in the business. I can't get them to do one open house.
Well, they're not like me. That's why I that's why I'm making that's why I'm making what I'm making. For me,
Yeah.
it's like it's part of the show, right? So it's like the open house for me is potentially I get to meet you. It's a social media opportunity. I try to be loud at my open houses, and by that I mean I'd like people to know I'm in the area. I just want to talk
Yeah,
to people.
I just started following you on Instagram. I can see you're as active as I am. I love that.
I'm going, so I'm out there, I'm live at the open house. People come in, I'm talking to them. I'm out in the neighborhood. A lot of times I'll be out front. I'll try to be there. I want people to walk by, be like, what's going on? I'm just so maybe you get 4 or 5 leads there, you add it to the database, they all get on the sequencing. You get a listing and people are calling you. You get 8, 10 calls on the listing and they don't have agents. You add them to the database and the sequence. I mean, that's how I do it. I don't buy leads. We started a small Zillow program for our newer agents. And I have found that it's not profitable. It could be if you are doing it yourself and you pay, but right now you're going to be spending 35%. That's what it's going to break out to. So if you're in a split of a 70-30, you're going to spend 35% to Zillow. You're going to be down to a 25% profitability. And so it was an interesting thing when I was at Zillow yesterday. Arthur, they go, he goes, how do you get leads? He asked the question. And I said, well, we went through, I go, like signs, good signage. He's like, well, that's the thing. You should be doing Zillow Showcase. And I said, well, the sign cost me $100. Zillow Showcase is costing me like $800 a month for one listing. Like, it ain't happening. But like good
Yeah.
signage in leveraging your listing so that people come in. But I think it's just like you're talking about. You and I went to the Red Sox. You've been added to my database. You're now going to start to get my videos. Leo's going to
I
be added
can't
to my
wait.
database. You guys are all going to friend Christian Doherty on Facebook, and you'll become part of the ecosystem that is just movement, conversations, and listen, you know how it is. I mean, 1 in 10, maybe you do something with, but you grow the audience, you grow the relationships, and you just, I'm a Lowell guy, which is you guys are in the market. When I go to the grocery store, I know everybody. Wherever I go in town, when I walk downtown, people beep their cars. I am the mayor of my sphere. I am the mayor of the city. I just get paid like a lot more, you know? And so that's what my political life taught me, that you want to, for me, pick a location, because what's going to happen is this. You get Mark, right? And Mark says, hey, I want to go, I want to crush it. And then, the first inclination. So think of this like politics. Mark says to me, look, I want to run for office and I want to run for governor. And you go, Mark, you've never run for anything. I mean, it's crazy. But then Mark goes, yeah, but listen, I'm worth 250 million and I can drop 15 million in the race. And you go, all right, now we're talking. We can market you. We can spend 15 million and now Mark becomes somebody. But if Mark doesn't have the money and Mark's just starting out and he doesn't know anybody, running for governor is a fool's errand. But let's run him for city council. Let's run him for selectmen because it's a lot easier to grow in one community and to focus your efforts, go door to door, get name recognition. If you sell one unit in a condo, the person down the hall, your name gets out, right? But if you're scattered all over the world, not to say you can't do it, but it's a lot harder to get that critical mass. Like if you sell in Beverly and then you're selling in Cape, these people are never going to collide. They're not going to be at the country fair. They're not ever going to talk to each other. So it's harder to get critical mass. So you just put the pin of like, hey, this is where I live. This is where I'm going to stake my turf. And when I started this, Arthur, I was a Lowell guy, and I'm a lawyer. I got all the background. People like, dude, what are you thinking selling there? I mean, go to Andover. Go to the Andover. That's where the big money is. Go there. And I said, this is where I know most people. Like, so when I go to that bar, I see those people. When I go to that restaurant, I'm bumping into these people naturally. So I could go there and grow. And over time we do, right? We go from city councilor to state rep to state senate to Congress to governor. But you got to grow that over time. But step one is run for mayor of your town. Become the mayor of your community. And what does the mayor do? The mayor goes to public events. The mayor puts out signs. The mayor is doing email blasts. The mayor is all over social media. The mayor, he or she is going to ribbon cuttings and they're out there day and night trying to build name recognition. I'll leave you with this because I know you guys are busy.
This is
If I
amazing. Keep
if
going.
I if I dropped a poll for you right now and I said Mary O'Neill, Leo, or Mark, and I dropped a poll and I said, Mark, where are you from? What town are you in?
He's from Manchester, New Hampshire.
All right, Manchester, New Hampshire. I drop a poll in Manchester, New Hampshire, and I say, all right, look at right now. We're going to run for mayor, and I want to get Mark's name recognition. Do you want to know what it's going to be in the town? What percentage do you think Mark would poll at?
Mark, what do you think? I'm thinking 50%.
You think 50% of all people would know him?
In my town, at 120,000 people, I would say 3%.
You got it, 3%.
And I've been here 52 years.
And that's everybody, right? Everybody's going to be less than 5%. Mary O'Neill might go 5 or 6% because people, they don't, it's not Mary, but they, oh yeah, O'Neill. She's, yeah, I know an O'Neill. So you might get, a lucky 5 or 6%. If you think about Greater Lowell, the state senator is Ed Kennedy, but he is not the Ed Kennedy. But the name recognition is known, so his name is going to carry him a little bit more. But what it means is this: when you start out in your town, nobody knows who the heck you are. Nobody knows you. And so your job is to raise your name recognition. So you don't want to be at 3%. When you walk down the street and people start to know you, and I did run for the Senate, so I learned this, but when you walk down the street, people start to know you, like wherever you go, you get to 25%. When 20 to 25% of the people know you, what's happening? Who's that?
This is the mayor of Peabody. First
I love it.
Peabody.
Mayor, we love
I don't
you.
know. It'll be hard with my name recognition.
I'm
That's
changing-
We
Ella.
love it.
I think I'm gonna change my name to O'Neill.
Oh, I think
Listen,
it's
Mary,
Ella.
we're running you. But the truth is this, like for us, if your name recognition, nobody knows who you are. So you're out there and you're thinking you're slick, you're thinking you're great, and you say, how do I grow name recognition? And the way you do it is you mail, you billboard. That's why you see Anthony Lamacchia, right? Billboard, and keep spending 10 grand a month in a community because you build name recognition. But your goal in your job is to become the mayor of that community and to build your name recognition.
I got a question. This is I took so many notes, such great nuggets. But my quick question is, would you
we'll never see that notebook again.
No, I'm gonna read it tonight.
If you like me, where was that notebook?
Yeah, I might lose it. It's on a sticky note. So would you recommend for agents to just start in one town, and should it be where they currently live?
I think it's a hybrid strategy, but yes, I think for me, what I would say is wherever you live in your house, put a pin on the map and go 5 miles. And
5 mile
does it
radius.
mean, yeah. And does it mean that you don't go, like, if Mary is brand new and she says, somebody in Boston wants to buy a house for $1 million, do I do it? If you got nothing going on, of course you take it, but your goal is to try to build name recognition, right? So, you know that you're not going, once that Boston deal is done, it doesn't mean Mary couldn't go there. She couldn't build and become a known agent, but we only have so much time. We only have so many resources. We only get 5,000 Facebook friends, right? So where do we want those 5,000 friends to be? If they're all in one town, if you live in Andover and there's 40,000 people, well, you've got over 10% of the people on your Facebook page. So you start to become a known entity there. So I would say you just focus, 25 miles is probably the upper limits of how far you should be going, in my opinion.
So Leo has a question. Leo, go ahead.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for being here. I've had the pleasure of asking you a question a few years ago at an event. But my question on what you're saying is, building within your community, do you recommend doing that as a community member where it's like selfless and there's humility and you attract people to ask you what you do? Or do you recommend doing it as a marketing standpoint in your community? Be like in your face, I help with financing, or I'm a real estate agent type of strategy?
Great question.
So yesterday, right, I was at the Zillow event, and I'm at the event, and the kid the entire time is like, "Hey, you should be doing Zillow Showcase. You should be. We got to get you with your listings and this. You should be." And I said to myself, "Jesus, leave me the hell alone." And then I was hanging out with Arthur, who I didn't know. And we were just shooting the shit. We're having a good time.
So much
right?
fun.
So the more that you connect with people out of service, where you're like, hey, I can help you. Like in politics, I met all these people because I didn't, maybe somebody needed a vote at some point. So I think for you, Leo, it's like you have to have in your marketing, you want people to know you. But when you go out to these events and you're meeting people, just like Arthur and I connected, it's just based on, hey, what's going on with you? What's happening? Hey, we should get together. How can I help you? It's got to be about them. Nobody cares about what you and I do. When I go through and I do my call time, I don't call and I'm like, hey, listen, I just want to let you know, I just sold the house in your neighborhood. I might do that if I'm just doing like just listed, just solds. Like that's like a specific call. But like if it's like my friends, I'm not like, hey, Arthur, like I have this lender who I like, and I've known her for 20 years. And every time she'll call me, she's like, hey, Chris, it's your favorite whatever. She's got her little thing, lender. And I go, I've known you for 20 something years. Like, just be normal. Just be a normal person. Just call me, say, hey, how was your weekend? What did you do? But I think if you go too hard with that, Leo, you tend to turn people off, right? So I think the goal is being a known person. And like on your social media, just be you. If you're out with your kids, people like that. If you're out, if you see something and you take a picture, you like that, you'll work in your business will get known with these little kernels. Like if you like I know Arthur's in real estate because I see his post and I put a lot up, but it's the same in life. If you're at the chamber and you're just meeting everybody, they're going to know, hey, Leo's a mortgage guy. If you're hanging out at the bar and everybody likes you, they're like, oh yeah, what do you do? They know you're a mortgage guy. So you don't have to be so out there, and so I don't do that. I think that's the biggest turnoff. But I think, it depends the type of marketing lane you're doing too, right? So if you're out there and you're saying, hey, I'm going to do advertising, well, of course, you're targeting in that way. But I would say being the mayor is more, your job is to become celebrity in your town and be known as you, and be known as a good person, and be known as a connector. And then you happen to do real estate too,
And also personable.
Go ahead, Mary.
Mary wants.
Oh, go ahead, Mary.
I jump
And
in.
be yourself.
Chris, first of all, you and I met a couple of years ago. I don't know if you remember. I had gotten, first thing I have to say is I'm from Lowell, and I went to elementary.
I love you.
And
I love you.
I went to
You're going to be a co-mayor?
What's that?
You can be co-mayors.
No, I went to elementary school with Eddie Kennedy, and his mother and my mother were best friends. So I had
Oh,
to
yeah.
do that. Yeah. And,
And
but we,
Eddie's the best. He's a good
oh,
friend of
he's a
mine too.
wonderful guy. But
And
the
he's
other
having a
thing,
hard time lately.
yes, I've heard that. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. But the other thing, Chris, you and I met a couple of years ago. I don't know if you remember. I had called you, I'd gotten a call from Catholic Charities, the Archdiocese of Boston, and they were trying to place Haitian families. It was when we had a large influx.
I remember this actually.
Yeah,
I remember it.
yeah, a couple of, and there were families, and fortunately for them, many of them had new jobs at the big Amazon facility.
Yeah,
in North
Amazon was
Andover.
big.
And there was an apartment in North Andover. I forget the name of the street.
Saunders Street.
Yes, Saunders, exactly. And I now, after listening to you, as busy as you are, you came and you met with me there, and I appreciate it, because you said a few minutes ago, coming from contribution, and you came. It didn't work out. It was something that just didn't work out. But I remember that, Chris, and I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you.
I appreciate that.
These
I
people
remember.
they were in tremendous need of housing, of apartments. Anyway, but
But
that,
here's
so
the
anyway,
thing too, for that, Mary, for you, right? Like as a relationship standpoint, like those at some point will become buyers, right? I mean, these are people that are coming to the US, they're getting acclimated, they need help, and that
Yeah.
word is going to spread in the community. Hey, Mary is somebody that helps people, she's helped me. And I think like like at the time, it may not have been the biggest deal, the most profitable deal for you, but that becomes the type of thing that I look at and I say, hey, that's service, right? You're trying to help somebody. We can't help everybody. We're not really social service agencies, but if you got somebody qualified and you say, hey, I can make some money on a rental deal, I think that's what we should be doing,
Great. Good. So nice to meet you. This is a really fun.
You too. This is
fun
fun.
half
We have a good time.
We got to do this.
Anything else, Arthur?
That was amazing. We got
We'll
to
go
do
live.
sometimes. Yeah, we got to get you in our office to teach a class, and we got to do a dinner. Thanks everybody for hopping on. I'm going to stop the recording now.